Hey guys, this is the Therapist Gamer here. Welcome back to the Mental Health and Gaming channel. I want to take a look at the Angry Gamer today. Welcome back to the Mental Health and Gaming channel. We're going to take a look at a topic that I've been wanting to address for a while now, but I've seen a lot more attention on it recently, particularly on forums like Reddit and some places on YouTube. I want to take a look at the Angry Gamer. This is a phenomenon that's really started to come to my attention over the last few years, that gamers, for whatever reason, seem to be more prone to anger outbursts, particularly during their gaming time. And I want to take a look at that. I've seen some posts over the last few weeks, especially on some gaming forums on Reddit, about gamers that are having difficulty and concerns about their anger outbursts during the time when they're gaming. And they're finding that they're becoming uncontrollable. Let's take a look at why I think gamers are prone to anger outbursts, maybe more than some other people. There's a predominant theory in psychology called catharsis theory that basically states that in order to get rid of a really strong or powerful emotion, you express it. This goes back to, the time of Freud. He really put forth this idea. The problem is that, as we've learned through research, that particularly with feelings like anger, catharsis theory doesn't really apply. Anger, for whatever reason, seems to be one of those emotions that the more we express it, the more we feel. And it's what I call a self-reinforcing emotion. In other words, we get caught in this cycle of feeling the anger, and we have this belief that if I express the anger, that it's going to go away, and it often does. But the problem is it only goes away temporarily, and when it comes back, it's even stronger. And we have this increased need to express it. And that increased need feeds the expression, and the expression feeds the anger, and the cycle just loops over and over again. So we have to look at this catharsis theory as a myth when it comes to anger and dealing with anger. The general consensus is the way to effectively deal with anger is suppression rather than expression. In other words, keep it to yourself for the most part. Now, we're not talking about long-term angers and resentments. Those have to be expressed, but you have to do it in a particular way. What we're talking about is just general frustration and irritability and kind of the general angers that you experience on a daily basis. For the most part, the best approach to dealing with those angers is to hold them in and to suppress them. They do go away. I want to outline the four main reasons that I see that gamers often have more difficulty with anger outbursts than other people. Number one is that video games inherently are designed to be frustrating. They're designed to bring out frustration. They're designed to make you feel that increased frustration, and then you overcome the frustration by accomplishing the task, accomplishing the puzzle, fighting off the bad guy, whatever the goal is, and you deal with the frustration by accomplishing that goal. And that works very well. I mean, that's gaming theory in a nutshell, is that we're constantly finding ways to deal with this frustration. The second reason why gamers seem to experience more anger outburst is the idea that games provide this wide swing of feeling high levels of control, and then putting us into situations where we feel like we have very low control. So we're constantly going back and forth between having lots of control over our environment and our world around us and feeling like we have very little control. Um, and these wide swings of control versus lack of control lead to anger and frustration. Number three is that games seem to provide a safe environment to express anger. If we're sitting in our bedroom, our living room, or on our sofa or whatever, playing a game, that's actually a fairly safe place to express anger. So we feel like we have some freedom to express that anger that we wouldn't necessarily feel in other environments. And fourthly, because we have some separation from the world around us when we're gaming, is that we're also insulated from some natural consequences that often arise from expressing anger in a more real world setting. So if we express the anger towards other people like we did in a multiplayer game, if we express that same type of anger and frustration in a more real world setting, we're way more likely to have some negative consequences as a result of doing it in a real world setting than we would if we just do it over Xbox Live. So you might ask yourself, what's the deal? What's the big deal? What's the problem with expressing this anger? And we've talked about one of the big problems. Number one is anger is self-reinforcing. So the more anger we feel, the more we express it, the more we're going to feel. And it just grows and grows and grows. Anger is almost always about putting distance between ourselves and other people. It's really hard to feel close to others if we're expressing anger. So the natural consequence of anger expressions, whether you're a gamer or not, is distance between you and other people. And this is one of the areas that a lot of gamers struggle with already, is feeling connected and feeling close to others, simply because there is some natural distance between us and others, whether we're playing online or whether we're playing single player and isolating ourselves. Number three is anger long term leads to increased health risk, heart disease, high blood pressure, overweight. There's mental health long-term complications that arise from anger. Angry people generally are prone to higher levels of depression, higher levels of substance use. There's all kinds of research to support the idea that angry people just tend to be less healthy in general than people that don't have anger issues. And finally, anger interferes with positive emotions. It's really hard to feel positive emotions if you're feeling and expressing anger. Those two things are not complementary with one another. They are exclusionary. So the more anger we feel, the less likely we're to feel joy and happiness and peace and those positive emotions that I think most of us are looking for. So what do we do about this? What's the solution? There's a few things to think about. Number one, start to use your gaming time as a place to learn and practice. Learn and practice coping skills for dealing with frustration, irritation, anger. Take that time to learn how to deal with those things. And in general, the way that we do that is through a process called desensitization. And one of the biggest ideas and concepts behind desensitization is the idea that I can handle this emotion for a short period of time. And anger especially is a very short-lived emotion most of the time, unless we're talking about that long-term resentment feeling. So the idea that you have to keep reminding yourself that this is a temporary feeling. I can handle this feeling. I can deal with it. And use that gaming time as a way to practice dealing with it, as a way to practice suppressing those feelings. Use the gaming time as a time to use those anger management skills that you may have learned. the things like deep breathing and counting to 10. Use that time as a way to do that. Track progress. Keep up with your anger outburst versus the time that you're spending deep breathing and the time that you're spending counting to 10. Most of these basic anger management skills you can do as you're playing a game. And that's one of the wonderful things about games is it provides us with an opportunity to utilize some of these skills that a lot of other real world situations wouldn't necessarily provide us with. Reward yourself for progress. So if you're finding that you're making progress in terms of controlling your anger and not becoming as angry and aggressive, give yourself a reward for that. Finally, don't be too hard on yourself for slip-ups and setbacks. It's going to happen. That's the nature of learning a new skill is you gotta practice and you have to work through the slip-ups and the setbacks just like you reward yourself for the good stuff. Don't be too impatient. It's going to take time and it's going to take practice. The thing that you have to constantly remind yourself if you're working on anger as an issue, particularly when gaming, is you've got to remind yourself that things are going to get better. The more you practice, the better at it you'll get. And you'll also find that these skills start to get applied to more real-world situations. You'll find that it generalizes to other places of frustration. And your tolerance levels for those frustrations outside of gaming situations will increase as well. This has been a short little introduction to the angry gamer. I want to encourage people to ask questions and give feedback and make conversation. That's what this channel is all about. I hope you've enjoyed this particular topic. Like and subscribe. Come back again next time. This has been The Therapist Gamer, and I look forward to seeing you guys again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.